can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Hello and welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. We're here tonight in final prediction mode, and I'm delighted, as always, to be joined by Punch Out Boxing's Ra Holcomb for another one of his famous or infamous, depending on which video you've watched, final predictions. Ra, we're here. It's Guido Vianello against Alexis Barriere. Not many people will have seen much of these two, more so Vianello, but I don't think anyone would have seen a lot of Alexis Barriere, so it always makes it that little bit more intriguing. As always, Ra, we go straight in with who you think is going to win this fight and how.
Yeah, you're right. Not seen anything of him, so I had to do my research the old-fashioned way by reading up on him. And I would have to say that this looks like a Vianello points win all night, possibly a late stoppage. It's very difficult to gauge how good Barrier really is because of who he's fought, or not in this case. So yeah, that's my prediction. Vianello by comfortable points decision.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. It's difficult to see. I think I'm gonna go. I'll be honest. It's a bit of a guess at times, an educated guess, looking at from what I've seen of Vianello, what I've watched, and then doing research on Barriere. So I think Vianello might stop him. Vianello's been in with some better operators, a lot better operators than Barriere. For all we know, Barriere could be, he can clearly punch 10 knockouts and 12 wins. For all we know, he could be a monster that just needs an earth in. But I am going to back Vianello via a sort of round eight, round nine stoppage. I don't think it's going to be too brutal or anything like that, but I think he'll have just enough to get the job done. Before we touch on Alexis Barriere, what he can bring to the table, what we're expecting, etc. Guido Vianello, he's had a bit of a stop-start career. He got stopped by Royce, the split decision loss to a Jagbar, chinned Makhmudov, who we're seeing fighting Dave Allen this weekend, and then lost to Richard Torres on points. Been a very stop-start career for, again, another man who clearly packs a punch and a lot of power. What do you see Vianello doing in the sport of boxing, right? Do you think he can trouble the big boys, the top 10, the top 15, or is he going to be almost like a gatekeeper style fighter?
Yeah, I think the latter. I think where he is now in his career, I think this is his level. And again, I don't say that with any disrespect because
Mm.
every level of the sport is needed for us to maintain healthy competition. But I think he will, for a few years yet, remain around the sort of top 15 range. Um, don't think he's ever going to be good enough to break into that sort of top five. Um, so yeah, I see with careful management and patience, he may in the coming years get a crack at a heavyweight title, sort of as a like late replacement or maybe if a champion wants a bit of an away day, so I guess Vianello would he sell big in Italy if he had a heavyweight title shot, something like that, that they might be able to get him a title shot off the back of circumstances like that. Um, but yeah, against the real elite of the division, he'll get soundly beaten. And like I said, I'd imagine most of the top 10, the real top 10, not the governing body's top 10, the real top 10 heavyweights would generally beat him.
Yeah, I have to agree. I say it's been very stop-start. I don't think, he's going to get anywhere anytime soon doing that. I think he needs to put a run of performances together, a run of stoppages, some half decent names on there to even look like having a crack. I do think, like you say, once he starts touching probably even top 20 territories, he gets towards top 15. I think that's when we'll start to see him having some problems. But he's been in with some good names. He'll probably provide some more entertaining fights. And then in terms of this fight, the man in the other corner, Alexis Barriere, what does this fight do for him, Ra? Because he hasn't fought anyone of note. And I say anyone of note, he hasn't really fought anyone at all. Now, I'm not saying Vianello is this mass household name he's going to make a huge impact on the sport, anything like that. But he's been in with some good operators, some named operators as well. So what do you think a win over Vianello would do for Alexis Barriere's next cluster of fights?
A win would possibly maneuver him into that position where he could get that, maybe that one significant cash out fight that I guess most fighters angle for in their careers. Because let's be honest, most fighters are never going to get that. A win could get him that, or even a reasonable showing. If it gives Vianello a hard night's work, then maybe some other prospects who are sort of struggling to get that sort of gatekeeper level opponent when they're ready, say, to step up from the journeyman or knockover opponents. But if he can actually win, yeah, he might be seen as a credible guy for one of the other top contenders, and he might get himself onto a big show. But I know you said he might be a hidden monster. I don't think so. Looking at who he's fought, um, I think there's a reason that that's who
Mhm.
he's fought. Yeah, he's been managed to properly to this point, and so he's got his big opportunity of sorts here. Vianello isn't the best of heavyweights, so yeah, he's in with a chance, maybe to cause an upset, or as I said, even put on a good showing that might get him some other decent paid work. Um, but I think realistically, that's as much as he can probably hope for at the age of 30, and just making his big step up now.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. Sometimes when you have these unknown entities that come in the ring, they might surprise people, and he could ice Vianello inside 30 seconds. But what that does for his career, it remains to be seen. I think, like you say, it'll probably get him a couple of decent names, but other than that, I don't think we'll be seeing too much of him in the aspect of troubling again, top 15, top 20s. I think he
Hmm.
could become maybe the acid test almost to see where a fighter's at, see how they deal with him. But again, that all depends on how he performs against Vianello. If he stinks the gaff out, I don't think we'll be seeing too much of him anytime soon, especially on these shores or some big Saudi shows or anything like that. So, as always, guys, let us know down below in the comments. Do you agree with myself? Do you agree with Ra? Do you completely disagree? Do you see the opposite? For me, I'm Ra. It's going to be a Vianello victory. But as always, let us know down below in the comments. Ra, thank you once again for joining me tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure.